The place where I never thought I would be detained, I got detained.
I want a record of this because the police shredded all the information. We have no official documentation on what happened.
I'm the second youngest of 6 brothers that was detained on the 15th of June 1986 here at the St. Nicholas Parish.
So it was a Sunday service. It happened in a church. There were preachers, there were priests. We sang hymns, we read Bible verses. It was to remember what had happened 10 years earlier in Soweto. And it was important that we did that. And so we invited a whole lot of young people who were part of religious communities to come and remember with us.
We defied the apartheid laws and they didn't want us to speak out or to act out. So then they had the state of emergency which curbed us to do certain things and to say certain things and to be at certain places, certain times.
The government was afraid of losing control of its people, and so it put horrendous regulations in place. And one of those regulations was that any group of people gathering together, if in the opinion of a policeman they were a threat, they could be detained. No court appearance, you would just be dumped in jail.
We thought we will outwit them by not having it outside or just having a loose protest, that we will have a service in the church.
The police obviously perceived that as a threat, and as the service ended, Captain van Schalkweg entered the church. I remember the weapons that he had, the automatic guns.
I heard something in the church, like a radio goes off.
The one policeman came and he had his baton up in the air to hit us. And I just looked him full in the face and I didn't move a muscle.
Father Laban took his mic in his hand and he said, I rebuke you in the name of the Lord, this is a church. And then the police come up to the altar and he grabbed the mic out of Father Laban's hand and he threw it on the ground.
The police came right to the pulpit side where I was preaching. They pushed me and I fell on top of the front benches, and all the benches just had the domino effect of falling over.
They announced that we were all now under arrest. The fear, it's just unspeakable, because what you hear, what the police did at the time to detainees was just horrific.
I still have that anger towards that policeman, that the captain that was in charge, and I could always hear his voice as he was saying, "Bring trokke."
My wife was pregnant and she was going to give birth in that period, and I thought to myself, it can't be, I can't go to jail. I mean, it was just inexplicably tragic that I would be put in jail for what?
About 20 people were pushed into a small police vehicle. By the time when there was about 10 into that vehicle, some of the comrades said to the guys that were loading the vans that the vans was too full, and these guys would go fetch tear gas to spray inside those vehicles so that there could be more space. That van was still traveling from here to Paarl, and I could feel how this vehicle went under the tar road, swerving from one side to the other because it was heavily overloaded.
I think to myself, I'm in prison now, and I was crying.
All those keys and lock in and lock out and those things are, it worked on me. Sometimes you get people who lock their fridges. Why do you lock your fridge? Anything that has got to do with locks, I just hate it. We didn't sleep because we were so afraid that they would send in the Viduka to come and to rape or whatever they want to do with us.
Some people were released, and myself, I was detained for another 2 weeks.
Some is an hour, some is a day, some is a month, 2 months, 9 months, the longest was about a year.
There was no explanation as to why people are released after 5 days or a week, and others were kept longer.
Well, I'm still thinking about it, I'm still hurting.
Coming back here now today, I must admit it brings back feelings of that day very, very sharply. I can actually feel the emotion of that day as I walked in here and knowing what this is all about.
The whole time while I was sitting in the church, I kept on looking back. I don't know what I was waiting for. But I just find myself every time looking back, as if I'm expecting somebody's going to come in and the whole thing is going to play itself over.
Many have not gone to the TRC. Many are ready now to tell their stories. So I want to applaud this church for taking this initiative.
There's never an end to this liberation struggle, because we need to liberate ourselves now from the fear of gangs.
And while greed and corruption is going to prevail, the Freedom Charter cannot come into realization. And I think that is where the church needs to play a pivotal role now.
The struggle hasn't stopped. As long as we have people living in shacks and substandard education, the struggle still has to continue.